You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
U.S. Cellular has noticed the way we use our phones has gotten ironic. We try to put our phones down for dinner, but the menu's on a QR code. That's ironic. We hit like on social posts that we don't actually like, which is ironic. Which is why U.S. Cellular created Us Mode, to help us reconnect with each other and use our phones less ironically. A phone company wanting people to use their phones less is ironic. Let's find us again with Us Mode from U.S. Cellular. Visit uscellular.com/built-for-us to get started.
Hey y'all, Marcy Martin here with a little Tampax story. One time I went on vacation in the Bahamas with some friends, and of course I got my period. I didn't want anything to stop me from living my best life on my trip, so I was like, why not be brave and try Tampax? Before that, I really just thought tampons were for adults, and I definitely thought they'd be uncomfortable. Guess what, y'all? They really aren't. It might take a few tries, but once it's in right, you shouldn't feel it, which is great. For a better way to period, just add Tampax.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin going an hour early here, and the plan tonight is to go a full 2 hours. We'll see if these guys last. They'll probably get tired of me before the night is over. But we got a bunch of topics to dive into as we get geared up for obviously the game down here in Brazil, down here like I'm down in Brazil, right? Down in Brazil, obviously kicking off Friday night. We got football tomorrow. What is it, Chiefs, Ravens? That's going to be a dandy, I believe. Going to be a lot of fun seeing two former MVP quarterbacks go head-to-head in Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson to get the season kicked off, right? You guys doing all right this evening, fellas?
Yes.
Yes, I am. Tim, I don't know about you, but I was about 75 and sunny all day.
Oh, it was beautiful.
A little breezy.
Yeah. Early fall cleanup around here. It was a great day for it, for sure.
Yeah, Andy A-Pack in the house says PTA Posse. What's up, Andy? Good to see you, buddy. A-Fam in here as well. And again, everybody wasn't expecting us to go live until 7 Central. So here we are going live an hour early. It's cool.
Heard it from a fan right here.
All right, let's get it kicked off right and give a shout out tonight. So got a couple of questions that came in from Patreon listeners. I also got a message or a question on a text line that we're going to hit on as well. So we'll just dive right into that. Unless there's something you guys would like to lead off with here right off the bat, we're going to have plenty of time, I think, to hit on everything. But you guys got anything you want to hit on before we get started here?
Maybe this is a good opener, especially just if we're having people filing in. Did you see there was another, so a few days ago or whatever, and Ryan covered it, I believe, on a few podcasts ago, or maybe a couple, that Mike Zimmer basically, for whatever reason, got interviewed or finally started spilling the beans on what it was like in Minnesota, the culture, what led him to leave, how he left, and the intricacies of like when they basically said, hey, you're fired. Do you want to go address the team? And he was like, hell no, I hate those guys. They got me fired. Basically, like literally is what he said. And he also went on to be like, that was one of the dumbest organizations I've ever worked for. Everybody from, I think at some point there was the overlap with Spielman at the time, but then he was talking about that in Fuege. You know, it's the GM that they got now, they're supposed to be this draft wizard, analytics guru. And apparently after a certain draft, I think it was the last draft that they were together, he basically was livid after the draft. And he basically, because they had a certain amount of boards and stuff that they've agreed on and players, and he's called them out. He goes, you just drafted like 7 backups and you let every single person that I had input go, and look where they went. And a lot of them were really notable names when they went through them. I can't remember off the top of my head, but one of them that was interesting is the Vikings wanted Justin Fields real bad, to the point where I think they actually did a few moves to try to see if they could mandangle some capital. Well, and then it comes out today, Stephon Diggs, I saw an article from about 3 hours ago where they were asking him to kind of comment on the Zimmer thing. And he was like, look, I'm a professional, and that's why I haven't basically described how bad it was in Minnesota, and I won't because I'm a professional. But basically he looked at him like, yeah, it was a poop show over there. So anyways, It's just fun to know that as we're on the strong ascension with young talent and a great squad and a solid knit unit, that the Vikings are literally over there just looking like Vikings, man. I think they might need to abandon ship pretty soon.
I think I speak for Tim here in saying it doesn't surprise me that the Vikings are running a crap organization. So, anything you want to add to that, Tim?
Yeah, I despise the Minnesota Vikings. I hate them more than the Bears and the Lions.
Dude, try living right on the border where half the people here think
I will not do that. I'll come visit you anytime, but I'm not crossing that Mississippi. Not happening. Not happening.
Yeah.
There you go. You heard it from a fan. We got everybody following in the chat now, wondering why we're going live, I'm sure. Good to see you in here, Jay. We got Reef in the house, Dave's MX6, Ron Samble, the whole crew following in. Appreciate y'all swinging through. Let's start off with a little Patreon listener, or a Patreon member, I should say, question here. I thought this was really cool. Came in from Dave Colvin. And I had to ask for clarification. I didn't want to answer the question the wrong way. And then after the show, him going, "Hey, knucklehead, that ain't what I was asking." But here's what he said. Not sure if you guys hit this yet, just for fun. Who are your guys' prediction for offensive MVP, offensive rookie MVP, defensive MVP, defensive rookie MVP for 2024? I'll start. I'm going to leave quarterback out, so I'll go with Dontavion Wicks and Monk just because I think he's going to surprise. And then he went with McKinney and Mr. Evan Williams, the human meat missile on defense. So I just to clarify, you're just talking about Packers here, right? And that was the case. So Sandy Lane Packer actually chimed in here on Patreon as well and said J Love MVP, Cooper rookie MVP, all right, on defense, obviously. And then Mr. Goat says offense, Josh Jacobs, offensive rookie of the year for the Packers, Jordan Morgan, defensive player would be Devontae White, defensive rookie, Evan Williams. Everybody really high on Evan Williams. And then let's see here. Larry Cano said, okay, now he went into something else. I didn't see that. So we'll hit on that later. So let's just go around the horn with that question there. And again, the original question was basically who is going to be your Packers' most valuable player on offense and then your most valuable rookie on offense. Same thing on defense, okay? For me, obviously, it's Jordan Love. If I were to do like Dave did and remove Jordan Love from the equation, I think that I could see myself looking up and going, yeah, Josh Jacobs absolutely dominated, right? I mean, if he returns to 2022 form, I could see it being a situation where he could even deserve it more than Jordan Love if he's that much of a factor. Because if teams watch the tape from last year and they start to key in on the passing game, which was really Green Bay's strength, maybe that does open more things up underneath for that route tree that we talked about from the running back position. So I think mine would definitely be Josh Jacobs as far as Packers offensive MVP. Let's go around the horn, Tim. Who comes to mind for you, man? Like I said, you can say Jordan Love if you want. It's totally cool. I feel like it goes without saying.
Yeah, I'm going to say Jordan Love. Jordan Love, J Money. J Money wears number 10 because he only throws dimes. J Money, second year as the starter, hitting his stride. The heck with Packers offensive MVP. He is the NFL MVP this year. Book it, put it on a ticker, whatever. Write it down, take a picture. I don't give a you know what. That's my dude. And it's going to be a pleasure to watch this happen. It really is. But if we have to take J Money out of the equation and go with someone else, Clayton, you stole my thunder. My first gut reaction would be Josh Jacobs for sure. But other than that, I guess I would go with, probably Tay Wicks, just like Dave did here. As far as what was the other one? Defensive MVP.
Go to offensive rookie.
Oh, offensive rookie MVP.
Yeah, and I haven't said mine yet. Jacob, go ahead. Who would be your offensive MVP, man?
I'm not going to lie. You guys both stole mine. I would go Love, and then I'd go Jacobs. If I had to pick a third, I think it still would be Dobbs for me. If he's healthy, I just feel like he's going to be – I hate saying a number one because he went through that whole rigmarole, but I think he's the possession receiver, if that makes sense. I think he's more of the trusted receiver that if I need a 3rd and 7, I know for a fact that Dobbs is either whatever route he's running, he's going to pinpoint it, he's going to turn around, and he's going to look for the ball, and he's got them nasty, sticky fingers, man. He wants to grab him and snatch him out of the air. That'd be mine.
All right, Tim, let's go on to rookie offensive MVP. Who would be your pick there of all the rookies this year on offense?
Marshawn Lloyd.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
And I have nothing else to add. I'm just gut reaction. Marshawn Lloyd,
Good enough
USC.
for me.
Let's go.
Jacob, how about you, man?
There's only one other one, really, right? It'd be Morgan. That's kind of, I think that'd have to be it. I would most likely, though, I'd go with Tim for sure. I mean, but that's a question now because I'm sure we'll get into it later. But he has seemed to be a little bit shaky as far as getting his legs under him and staying healthy enough to show us what. I mean, I haven't seen him enough to even be like I'm pumped for him yet. To be honest, I've just more seen very little flashes. I could say the same thing on us, to be honest, about Jordan Morgan. So I would hope that one of the two at least gives us some film to look at. Let's start with that. We'll talk MVPs maybe after we see him on tape a few times.
Put something on tape, right?
Right.
All right, defensive MVP. Tim, if you had to pick, who do you think it would be? You're going to look up at the end of the year and you had to make a guess, like I said, before week 1, who was the most valuable player for the Packers on defense?
Wow. It's tough because, we're stacked on the defensive side of the ball. Well, I guess the easy answer would probably be Xavier McKinney, but I'm going to go with my guy who I've been ride or die with since we drafted him, Mr. Jair Alexander.
Took it down the sideline, turned up with my guys, gave the football to a little kid wearing 23.
I love it. I love it. What about you, Jacob? Who would be your defensive MVP if you had to try to predict right now, man?
It would be Rashawn or Kenny.
Rashawn or Kenny? Oh, Kenny flashing. That would be – I could see that.
Can I share a fun fact that I found in an article right before we went live here?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Because we've talked about Kenny and how, quote unquote, I've been very critical of Kenny. I'll admit that, just because of the money we've spent on him, and I didn't necessarily see the output. But
hey, that's not his fault, right? It's not a knock at him. You get paid, you get paid, right?
No, and that's literally, so he had a great interview, and I can't remember who it was with. I just got caught clips, and then I basically read the excerpt of it, and they asked him that question. They're like, why do you think that you don't get talked about with the likes of, your Chris Jones and at the time Aaron Donalds and just real, playmaker type guys? And he straight up says, he goes, look, it's because I played, and this is him saying this, not me. He said, it's because I played a lot more nose tackle than probably I should have, or maybe than I wanted to, and I didn't have enough sacks. And he was very blunt about that. And he then goes on to say, that the interviewer goes on to say, hey, but people sleep on the fact, and nobody talks about how you've had 128 hurries since 2021. That's 3rd overall in the NFL in that time period.
Ooh, that's good.
We've talked about how hurries and pressures in some aspects, in a lot of aspects, are even more valuable than sacks. So that, when I thought about that and the way that they're going to possibly be utilizing him in a different way, we talked about how he can go from not having a 2-gap it. He's focused on what he has to do. There's less responsibility of, he didn't ever have really much contained, but just knowing that. Same with the other guys. It's like put your hand in the dirt and just worry about smoking the guy in the backfield. And I feel like that's something that we could see if he does that, and he does explode into a level of like DL top 3.
Yeah,
that means our defense is going to be humming.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. All right, Tim, defensive rookie MVP this year.
Evan freaking Williams.
Oh,
Javon Bullard is starting over Evan Williams at safety, and everybody is still more excited about Evan Williams. I mean, he showed that much in camp and training and preseason. I mean, I can't disagree with it. I'm with you. I mean, it might not be my pick as far as the rookie. I think I would probably go with Javon Bullard because he's probably going to get more snaps than Evan Williams. But if the preseason is an indication of what's to come with Evan Williams, he's going to maximize every damn snap he gets to.
Yep.
I like
especially if Bull ultimately moves into that nickel spot, like we've kind of been hinting at could possibly happen. Maybe it's not a probability, but it's a possibility. And we could see Williams and Bullard on the field at the same time, with McKinney back there and, as well as the usual suspects in the cornerback room. So I'm just fired up about this defense as a whole.
Yeah. Reef gave you a quick list here. He said rookies, Hopper, Bullard, Cooper, and Mosby. So obviously you got Evan Williams in there too. Jacob, what are you thinking, bro?
There is a dark horse. He named a couple of them. Hopper and Cooper were guys, but I don't think they're going to see the field. There's a chance that I think Evan Williams could do that. There's a chance, obviously, and you guys know I love Bullard. I feel like what we're not thinking about is Gaetan Oladapo. The guy's been waiting in the wings. We've been talking about how he's not been he hasn't been progressing because he had so much time off when he had that initial, I think it was like a toe injury, something like that, or coming off like a surgery preseason. But apparently, according to All Get Out, he's looked great in special teams. He's doing just enough, or just what he should be doing as far as progressing in the actual safety room. But if there's any sorts of injuries, which, unfortunately it happens every season, we could start seeing him play musical chairs or some different type of moving people around. And he is one that I am excited about. I don't know if you guys saw him doing his pregame yesterday or doing the practice. He's got that bright yellow hair.
Oh, yeah.
He's ready, dude. I don't know why that got me so excited. I was so jacked when I saw that. And I forgot how much we were all so excited. And I think Goody absolutely attacked the safety room. And now, a lot of people were scratching their heads when they let AJJ go, and it still kind of hurts me a little bit. But when you look back down that roster and you see X and Javon, and I just think that he handled it probably the right way. And who knows, man, we could look up in a year or two and say we probably didn't need X, which is a crazy thing to say, that we didn't need to trade for one of, if not the best safety in the league, because of the talent we had in one draft to completely revamp that. I'm not saying I don't want the draft. I'm still pumped he's here. I think he's going to be probably an MVP on this defense. But the fact that in like a year or two, if Williams and Bullard are both playing and Gaetan are all playing at a high level, it's like, okay. Right.
I agree. I see the sentiment, but I still feel like you need a guy like McKinney with this group, because if we were in a position where we didn't have that stability back there, after letting Darnell Savage go, say what you want about Sav, man. I mean, the guy's a veteran, right? You got to have at least one veteran in the room, at least in my opinion, when you're looking at a position group like that. But
that take would be a completely 2020 revision, like
right
armchair quarterback, like we stop, I'm just being honest with it.
I think you're right though. Like, it would be great to a couple years from now look back and go like, wow, look, we're good for the future. And who knows what the future holds as far as McKinney. He hasn't played a down of football for us yet.
Kick off the 2024 football season with Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. It's the easiest way to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch your winnings roll in. This September, get automatic win every week by picking Caleb Williams to get just 1 passing yard. That's right, 4 weeks of free wins, but only if you jump on it before September ends. And don't forget, you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks even has injury insurance, so if your player leaves the game early, you're still in the game. I've been loving Prize Picks, my go-to for simple, fast, and fun fantasy action. When my picks hit, I get paid in as little as 15 minutes. Download Prize Picks now and use code PACKDADDY to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code PACKDADDY for $50 guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Remember, Prize Picks is a skill-based fantasy game, making your lineups just got a whole lot more exciting. US Cellular has noticed the way we use our phones has gotten ironic. We try to put our phones down for dinner, but the menu's on a QR code. That's ironic. We hit like on social posts that we don't actually like, which is ironic. Which is why US Cellular created Us Mode, to help us reconnect with each other and use our phones less ironically. A phone company wanting people to use their phones less is ironic. Let's find us again with Us Mode from US Cellular. Visit uscellular.com/built-for-us to get started.
At Racetrack, we know trucking ain't easy, so we're thanking you for all you do. We're rewarding professional drivers who keep things going with amazing perks during Truck Driver Appreciation Month. Get big rewards like 2x rewards points, free food, and free drinks for the entire month of September. Download the Racetrack Rewards app and select Professional Driver to get free stuff for Truck Driver Appreciation Month, so you can get what you need to keep yourself and all of us going. Racetrack, whatever gets you going. Offers only available to professional drivers through the Racetrack app. See Racetrack app for full terms of use.
The land down under has never been easier to reach. United Airlines has more flights between the U.S. and Australia than any other U.S. airline, so you can fly nonstop to destinations like Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Explore dazzling cities, savor the very best of Aussie cuisine, and get up close and personal with the wildlife. Who doesn't want to hold a koala? Go to united.com/Australia to book your adventure.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, but I know where you're going with that, Jacob, for sure. It's like, what if, God forbid, the worst happens, we have an injury or something back there. It's nice to know that we have depth like crazy, and the depth that we have are basically healthy guys and they're young players. So it's a lot to be excited about for sure.
Yeah, Reef is mentioning that in the chat, just saying the depth is crazy, and it hasn't been like that in a while. I don't remember it ever being this deep at safety, ever. Yeah. In my, I've been alive for a few trips around the sun here. Miss Carly Ray says the defensive MVP in her eyes is Jair, so she's agreeing with you, Tim, right?
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about, man. If he does, man, watch out for this secondary. I'm telling you. I want to see Jair, and I'm not saying it'll happen, but I want to see him return to the right side of the field when he had his best years, and mainly because you got McKinney on the opposite side, put Ja on this side. Man, you've got a couple playmakers splitting half the field. Not that they're going to have half responsibilities, but that's going to make a quarterback really think twice about throwing deep when you got Ja on this side and McKinney on that side. Now, if they decide to line Ja up where they've been putting him on the left side of the field from the offensive perspective, and McKinney's on that side, or McKinney is on that side as well, then one half of the field's basically taken away. There's no doubt about that. So that might be what they do too, is maybe roll some of the coverage away from those two guys, since you got those two playmakers on that side of the field for sure. So this graphic we got up here for those of you on the pod, PFF Green Bay Packers tweeted out the highest graded safety in coverage last season, Xavier McKinney, 91.2. Listen, I'm excited about the rookies. I'm excited about Bull. I'm excited about Williams. I'm even excited about Oladapo. The reality is they haven't taken a single snap in the NFL. This dude had the best coverage grade amongst all safeties in the NFL, the best of the best in the entire world. This dude is, I think he's going to be just an absolute difference maker, man.
Yeah, so Turtle's commented on that right now. He says also something we shouldn't, or maybe haven't thought about, I know I haven't, is that McKinney's played Hurts a lot.
Several times.
And if anybody's got his number, it's going to be a guy like McKinney for sure.
And even just that info right there, right? Just knowing that, like, he's familiar, and Jalen Hurts knows that McKinney's familiar. Just that dynamic might, a handful of times in that game, maybe he's not going to throw that way. Maybe he's going to think twice about pulling the trigger, and that alone gives you a little bit of a leg up here, especially in an international game on a Friday night, which is just, this game could be a lot of things. I'm expecting the unexpected here to kick off our season. So hearing that is, that makes me feel good for sure.
Yeah. And, the other thing too is, like, when you hear he's familiar with him, people immediately go, oh, well, it's a new year. It's a new year. Yeah, it is. It's a new year. But keep in mind, McKinney, think of how much tape he has watched on Jalen Hurts. Yep. I mean, you're talking about, he was with the Giants for 4 years, I believe. So he's watched 4 years or 8 different opportunities to play him. He's watched tape on him, which means if you go with the normal kind of rule of thumb for coaching staffs, 4-game saturation plus 2 head-to-heads, the last 2 head-to-heads. So every time they played him, he's probably watched 6 full games of tape on Jalen Hurts. So 6.
Even more, Clay. Look at I forgot that they played at Alabama together.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Practice, all that.
And then you got Jalen Hurts with a new OC, right? We just talked about Kellen Moore, running that offense now. So I'm sure there's going to be some learning curve even once we get to regular season play, despite, all the reps they've got in during the preseason and training camp and stuff. So that's a variable that's worth noting as well.
This could be us just fanning out, trying to talk ourselves into a win here. But I tell you, all these things do matter, man. They do. And we got to get out there. You got to go on the field and you got to perform, right?
Yep.
And it's going to be a unique situation. Obviously, I think they said the flight was going to be like over 10 hours. And then you get down there, you do a walkthrough tomorrow. I think they're going to do a walkthrough at the stadium, get familiar with the stadium. Then it's back to the hotel. And 24 hours later, you're playing a ball game, right? I think, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know if you guys seen Darius Slay. He seems a little hesitant on things too. Like everybody's questioning. I feel like there's a lot more grumbling, I should say, coming out of the Eagles locker room about this game than there is the Packers. Packers are just like, hey, we're going to go there and play, right? And you've got, I think it was A.J. Brown said something, and now you got Darius Slay. Because Darius Slay does play for him, doesn't he? Am I thinking right? Is he still with the Eagles or no?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, obviously they're concerned about it, and the Packers are just staying focused. Hopefully that holds true. I see you got some chats here, Mark. Jacob, let's hammer those out real quick. You got any questions in there, or just mainly comments, or what?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of everything there. Andy starts off with, what are your wishes for an ideal opening against the Eagles besides a win? And I don't know if he means like the opening of the game or just like for the actual game's decision. I mean, me personally, I just want us to come out fast and strong. If we look lackadaisical, and I just want us to look more like it's a home game than we're traveling to the West Coast type situation.
Play action, naked bootleg, 65-yard bomb to Tay Wicks. Let's go. We're up 7-0.
That's better. Yeah, that'd be better.
Said, 99 all go. Right out of the gate. Let's do this. Now, for me, man, honestly, I don't see this as a slam dunk win. I'm not saying you guys do. I've heard more and more people feel comfortable that the Packers are going to win this game. I'm a little more hesitant. Of the first 4 games, if you said, all right, Clayton, you got to pick one game you're going to lose out of the first 4, this would be the one I would pick. Just being completely transparent, being realistic here. What I want to see the Packers do is come out and compete. I want this to be a close game. Hopefully they can pull out a dub. What I don't want to happen is all that momentum that you created through training camp, right? And it seemed like it ended on a positive note. Obviously, Denver was a slight setback with the joint practice and then preseason performance. And then you end the preseason on a high note. Everybody's feeling good. Everybody's healthy. All 53 are practicing in some form or fashion. I just don't want to see them have a setback with a really bad loss, right? Again, I think it's going to be a close game. 3-point ball game is what Vegas is saying. Neutral site. I think there's an opportunity for the Packers to come out here and send a statement too, man. Make a statement. Like if they come out and they beat them by a couple scores, that's some serious momentum going into the season. That's what I hope to see. But again, the main thing though, Andy, to answer your question, I just want to see them protect the football and compete. That's what I want to see. If it isn't a win, all good. You got stuff to get better at. You got stuff to build off of. And you go out and win the next 3 games because as most coaches say, pretty much all coaches, every coach in the NFL says, you play this season 4 games at a time. Now you got one bonus at the end, right? You want to go 3-1 in each quarter of the season. Yep. And then, of course, you got that last game there at the end of the season. If you do that, then you're going to end up with, 12, 13 wins, and you're going to be staring a first-round bye right in the eye. You just got to focus on one game at a time and break the season down into quarters. That's kind of how I see it. So, it's going to be fun, man, for sure.
Don't worry, Clayton. We're getting the dub. We're leaving Brazil with a dub. It's going to happen. You just said it yourself, man. The Eagles are the ones crying right now. The Packers are focused. These guys are in lockstep with their leader, Tupac LaFleur. We're playing no games this year. I don't think we're going to see any behavioral issues and suspensions in-house or any of the crap we dealt with last year. I think this team is focused, united, rallying around their leader, and we're going to go out of there and get a win. I just believe it. I really do.
You got Mr. Dan in the house here. I like Dan's energy. He says Vikings overrated and have the worst broadcast team and chant in the league. Skull my ass. I love it.
They also stole
Sit your butt outside.
So
what's that, Jacob? I'm sorry.
The Skull chant, they actually stole that from a Swedish soccer team. It's well known. They stole the exact same thing. So, like everything with the Minnesota Vikings, it's trash.
Yeah. Reeve says, love MVP, offensive rookie MVP, Jordan Morgan, because we need him to produce. Listen, if you look up at the end of the season and Morgan has got, less pressures allowed than anyone else on the line, I know people would just kind of nod their head, hey, he's right guard. How important is it? It's very important because that's pressure right in the lap on the throw side of Jordan Love, right? That's what's really going to determine how comfortable Jordan feels in the pocket, because the reality is you don't worry about what's behind you as a quarterback. A good quarterback, you're just assuming they got my back over there, right? But you're watching everything in front of you. Do I step up in the pocket, slide right? Do I kick back? Which Jordan is really good at hopping up in the pocket and then doing that little fadeaway backwards to create that throwing window. I'm with you, Reef. I think Jordan Morgan may be my pick there for offensive rookie MVP. Now, here's the thing. Right now, it sounds like LaFleur is hinting towards them splitting snaps, him being Sean Ryan. Originally, I was like, man, just throw the rookie out there. But I was hearing Mark Tauscher talk about it today on Wildy and Tausch, and it really connected with me. He said, it's a big game, right? Opening week, Jordan Morgan's never played in an NFL game. You're going to be in Brazil. Those fans are just going to be absolutely bonkers to have NFL football down there. Maybe let Sean Ryan go out there the first couple series, let things settle down a touch, and then let Jordan Morgan go out. He talked me into it, and I'm going, what the hell does Tauscher know? I mean, he's just in the Packers Hall of Fame, right? So he talked me into it pretty easy. But, so I kind of agree with you there with Jordan Morgan. Oh, sorry, Jacob. Go ahead, bud. Let's hear it.
No, Mr. Dylan Burgeon says, did you guys see Jacob's interview on Good Morning Football today? That man got me hyped up to watch Love and the offense ball out this year. I didn't see it personally, and I don't know if it's one that is brand new, because we did talk about a couple interviews that he'd done over the time, but I didn't personally see it, but I've seen other interviews that made me, I'm not going to say I forgot about Aaron Jones, but I'm starting to forget he was even a thing.
I didn't see it either, man, but I'll tell you, I'm
it's like trying to get over an ex, you got to start dating someone new. And before you know it, you're getting new photos and you're going to the corn mazes.
Say nude photos, Jacob?
No, new.
How dare you?
But, what's up, girl?
Jacob said, right here. All right, so obviously did a little Packers Eagles preview there, as we're going to get into a deep dive preview here later on in the show, as we're going 2 hours tonight. So next thing I wanted to hit on, let me see here real quick. All right, next thing, we're going to go a little off topic here, okay? And it came from a listener question, so I don't want to hear anybody complaining about it. Not that you guys will, but just anyone in the chat. When a listener asks a question, even if it's about another team, we're going to hit on it, even if it's briefly. I think anytime you're talking salary cap, no matter if it's around the Packers or any other team, you've got an opportunity to learn and understand, okay, what is the current salary cap situation in the NFL? How does it work, right, type thing? And listen, I don't have all the answers, but I'll share what I do know. And if anybody in the chat has any nuggets that I may or may not have here, you fire away, all right? But this was a question that came in from Chris. Chris said, hey, Clayton, I saw that Trent Williams signed a new contract with all the mega contracts for their superstars, Debo, Ayuk, McCaffrey, Kittle, Williams, Bosa, Ward, and Warner. Do you think that the 49ers are making it hard on themselves to sign Brock Brock Purdy to a long-term contract next season? Thanks for everything you do. I love the show, Alaskan Chris. Appreciate you up there in Alaska, Chris. So here's what we're going to do. Let's kind of take a quick little deep dive into the 49ers salary cap situation, because many people are going, how are they going to pay them? They're not going to be able to pay them. I'm going to show you why I always say the most important aspect is put the best roster on the field, the best players on the field. You can finagle the salary cap if you get ahead of it. The salary cap is very real from a time-sensitive standpoint. When you run out of time, that's when you have to make boneheaded decisions, or you have to, what I say, pay the stupid tax, because you weren't prepared to get certain deals done in time to where you can maneuver the salary cap. So Trent Williams' contract, first of all, when I share this on screen here in a second with Spot Track in the 49ers current salary cap table, It's not going to include this contract. So we got to kind of include it as much as we can with the information we got. Trent Williams restructure is a 3-year, $82.6 million deal, includes $48 million fully guaranteed. Okay, so if you took 82 and divided that by 3, guys, what number do we have here? I'm going to do it real quick. 82 divided by 3, roughly 27 million. Okay, now someone else had put a tweet out here as well. I think it was Andrew Brandt, said per report, so it's not nothing final, but this is what we're hearing. It looks like this is what the 49ers did to accommodate Trent Williams. Increased the 2024 compensation by $7 million, guaranteed the full 2025 compensation, essentially now paying him $48 million guaranteed over 2 years, and then we'll see. All in all, not that heavy a lift for the team. That was my initial takeaway too, and I know many people are going, oh, they're screwed now. They're screwed now. Let me show you what we mean by that. But keep in mind that contract comes out to, on average, $27 million. If Andrew Brandt's number is correct there, and I'm understanding his tweet correctly, his salary cap is only going to jump by about $7 million this year currently. Okay, this year doesn't even matter because you're going to see the 49ers are in great shape this year. So here's their current salary cap table. All right, total cap $246 million. They've got $50.4 million in cap space right now. So they could absorb that full 27, which is on the AAV for Trent Williams, and be in perfect shape, right? The question is, how is this going to affect them on down the line? And the reason they're able to do this is because they hit on a 7th-round pick, the last pick in the draft. They found their franchise quarterback. That's how they're able to do this, all right? So essentially this year they have $50 million in cap space. This is before Trent Williams. Let's say you did do the full 27 or whatever, right? That's going to leave you with what? What would that number be, guys? 23 million? You'd have 23 million left in cap space to operate with, which means that's going to roll over into next year as well. Let's take a quick glance ahead to 2025. Their cap space currently, without Trent Williams, is sitting at 39.2 million. So let's say that does jump to 27 or even 30 million against the cap next year. You see there's still 9 million under the cap. The problem is, this is, if I remember correctly, this would be Brock Purdy's last year under contract. If we click on his contract.
What if AI could help your business deliver mission-critical outcomes with speed? With IBM Consulting, your business can design, build, and scale trusted AI using Watson X, and modernize the way you work to accelerate real impact. Let's create AI that transforms your business. Learn more at ibm.com/consulting. IBM. Let's create.
Yeah, so his last year under contract will be 2025. So now you've got to sign him to an extension, and that hit would begin taking place in 2026 unless you added on voidable years, if that makes sense. So that's how their salary cap currently sits. They can make this work, right? If you look at the dead cap that's attached to some of these other guys that they've got on the roster right now, like with Deebo Samuel, they could free up $9 million if they wanted to cut him outright. They're not going to do that. They want Deebo to be a part of the team. But what you have room for there, seeing that the dead cap is only 15-1, you've got maneuverability. If they are competing for a Super Bowl and they haven't hit the wall with age or what have you, you can convert some of that salary cap, that base salary to signing bonus, tack on some voidable years. They're all in right now. And some people are going, they better do it this year because they're screwed after that. I don't see it that way at all.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%.
Now,
what about look at Hargrave and Ward, 32 and 30 years old. Look at the cap hits. So I would keep an eye on those guys going into next year. I mean,
they do look a little older though. There's a lot of guys in that.
And that's my point. Like Clayton's saying, like there's even
stuff's going to fall off. Yeah.
There's already room for them to pay Purdy, like let alone they free up more room on the cap restructuring some of these deals. You might get a retirement, from somebody or, trade or whatever. So I think it's realistic to think that by making this move with Trent Williams, I don't think the 49ers screwed themselves out of being able to pay Brock Purdy. And I don't think Brock Purdy is going to command Jordan Love money. I really don't. I don't think he's going to be in that realm. He might be in the neighborhood, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a pretty easy signing for the 49ers. I don't think Brock Purdy's going to put the screws to him.
Tim, if he plays like last year, I think he'll get Jordan Love money. But if he has a step back this year, I think you're spot on, man. I think that could happen, right?
I just feel like
step back, like losing to the Packers in week 12, and then losing again in the playoffs. Yeah.
Did you guys see? There was I can't remember. It might have been Ari or somebody like that, but he did a 15-minute breakdown. Maybe it wasn't that long. It was maybe like 8 or 9 minutes, but I watched most of it, and he kept going on and on about how the front office of the 49ers are absolutely livid with all the money that's been spent, and that John Lynch and that Kyle Shanahan's jobs are on the hot seat if they spend all this money and at the end of the year they don't have they said it's Super Bowl or bust, or anything less than that, the 49ers front office is going to be rolling heads. That was the report that he said that he trusts and that came from an absolute genuine source. So I don't know if anybody
Ari said this, Jacob.
I don't know if it was Ari, but he has that same type of makeup, shorter guy, dark hair, kind of weird voice.
He has that same mascara.
If somebody could find it in the chat, it should be pretty easy because he was, like I said, he was all over Twitter this morning talking about
Here's the thing, too. This just hit me. I want to say this. Actually, here you go. So essentially now paying him $48 million guaranteed over 2 years, then it's we'll see. So we just talked about how their cap situation is okay in 2025. This year and next year it's okay. And then after that, they can get out of that contract with Trent Williams. Well, that comes just in time to sign Brock Purdy to a contract, right? So that's going to line up absolutely perfect for them, have a cap hit of somewhere. Let's say he does get Jordan Love money, Tim. If that's the case, cap hit going to be somewhere between 20 and 30 million that first year. They'll make that work. He'll basically replace Trent Williams' cap hit as they move on from Trent Williams, because he is, man. Trent Williams is 37 years old, man. It's amazing he's still arguably the best tackle in the game still. It's just wild, man. I think he's made a case to be a Hall of Famer. I really do.
Tim, just randomly, did you see who they freaking got there? They got our boy Malik Mustafa. I didn't even know they got him. Son of a bee.
One of our draft crushes. Yeah. It'll still be fun to kick their asses this year.
I agree. I was going to see if they had a market value for, I guess, here we go. Maybe let's see what they're saying. Oh, Tim, look. Woo! They're saying 52.1.
No.
There's your comps, man.
Do you think, though, that just because of the market and the team, it was everybody getting paid all that money, they're out in Cali. I wonder if tax structure has anything to do with too, when they actually
get taxed hard, bro.
Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying, because if they actually have to offer them higher per annual because they know that Uncle Sam's going to put his dirty, greedy, sticky fingers in his pocket. I love taxes.
I like I said, I think he's in the neighborhood. I didn't want to shortchange him, and it can't be understated what the kid did. He got a shot, and he capitalized on that. And he wasn't a one-hit wonder. He came back and has consistently played, at a high level. So he does belong in that conversation. And I think the comps are accurate. You got Tua, Jay Money, you got Joey B, you got Fabio up there. I mean, hey, the comps are there. I will say this though, this year's gonna really play into those negotiations. We'll put it that way. And I got a feeling that Brock Purdy's season is going to end a little sooner than it did last year. So we'll just see how it turns out.
Yeah. And again, he could kind of lower his number this year if he struggles. Right. And I don't think he will personally. When I turn on the tape, and I watched a lot of Brock Purdy tape this offseason, I think he's the real deal. I really do. I'll tell you this too, Tim. He could really, you want to win that locker room over big time. And they say they absolutely love him. His teammates love him, real open about his Christian faith, but a quiet guy, kind of one of those quiet leaders. Men in the locker room respect the hell out of it, especially people that are long in the tooth like Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel and some of these guys that are a little more outspoken, a little more boisterous. But if he were to come out and let's say the market was at $50 million per, and he says, you know what? I'll take $30 million per.
That's what I was getting at. I feel like they're already there with the cap numbers, what we're looking at now, and then let alone
want to stay there, right?
Yeah, and then even moving forward, depending on what happens. I mean, I'm not saying he's gonna not play a little hardball and try and get his money. Young players they get one real good shot usually at getting a big time contract in this league. Nothing's promised. At any moment it could be snatched away from you. So obviously he should try and get the most he can, but I also don't see him playing major hardball. Like you said, Clayton, he might go team friendly. and take a restructure down the road. We always talk about those voidable years and ways that you can cook the contract and,
Yeah. So. And Jacob pointed out here too, I mean, when you get to 2025, that window is kind of closing. 29 years old for Fred Warner, Hargrave 32, Deebo Samuel 29, George Kittle 32, Nick Bosa 28, Ward 30, Malik Collins 30, Brandon Ayuk 27. Like, you're creeping at Leonard Floyd 33. You're getting in that. Some guys, they can last, right? They can make it a little longer, like your Trent Williamses, and obviously at the quarterback position. But I'll tell you what, man, not all of them are going to. Some of these guys are going to hit that.
I'll tell you what, man, if you're, not – this is Packer Fan Total Access, by the way. We're not a 49er podcast. But if you are a 49er fan out there, it's now or never for you guys. I'm seeing a lot of old men about to collect Social Security on your roster. So you guys better get it done this year. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Absolutely. Let's go rapid fire on these starred comments here. These starred comments real quick. You okay,
What's wrong with – I was just going to ask, what's wrong with old people?
Yeah, Jake.
What? 009.
Nothing's wrong with old people. Old people playing football is the issue.
Yes.
Jacob just doesn't seem to think there's an expiration date. You know what I mean?
No, of course not.
Yeah.
King of the early bird special.
Right there at Brookview Meadows.
Hope you like Jello. All right. White 009 says,
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
He got the J-Love's interview around the internet where he's saying that it's a Super Bowl this year. Man, I think they're going to go hard. What do you think? Honestly, I know Tim's going to say yes. Clayton, what are your honest-to-God chances that the Packers either make the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl?
The Packers making the Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl.
In your heart of hearts, what is your actual percentage maybe, or I don't know how you want to quantify it, but
yeah, I hate making
I
hate making predictions, but I think what it comes down to typically there's somewhere between 6 to 10 teams that have a realistic shot at winning the Super Bowl, and that's all you can really ask for, man.
Right.
I think Green Bay has as good a shot as any. I really do.
I was going to say like a 1 in 10.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, they got a quarterback that learned how to protect the football in the second half. If that carries over, it's going to be absolutely huge. They've got a quarterback that can make secondary reaction plays, right? We've seen that over and over and over. We've got a quarterback that learned how to reset the protection, pre-snap reads, completely changing the play at the line. I know some fans after the vaccination absolutely hated that Rodgers did that at the line of scrimmage. I love seeing it because your quarterback has complete command over your offense, right? They got all the key positions they need. They got a young receiving core. They're built nice in the front. As far as that sounded bad, as far as the defensive front and flatten the front like Kim. What was that movie? Was it Dodge? It wasn't Dodgeball. What was it? Balls of Fury. Blades of Fury.
Blades of Fury.
So anyway, this show sucks already. They're built up front well.
Things could be a lot worse. I could be a Bears fan.
On both sides of the ball. That's a recipe to win the whole damn thing, man. It really is. So I think they got as good a shot as any.
I like the way you put that, Clayton, because I'm not a big prediction guy. I don't like doing all that. I'm a confident fan. I know what we're seeing, and I do. I think they're in that handful of teams that has a legit shot, and that's all that matters. Really does.
All right. First of all, Clayton, this is it says right there in the thing. It says it's the perfect place to enjoy new experiences.
You've got that down back, my man. All right.
Well, Jacob walking out of there like
my knee.
He's got a couple other people walking out of there going, my knee.
My back. Nathan Arthur says the Eagles players were complaining about going to Brazil on Twitter. So you mentioned Darius Slay. He was very vocal and got, the NFL sissy boys got all upset with that, basically, again, saying it's xenophobic to not want to get murdered, stabbed, and have to breathe in, possible whatever. So it's not a big deal. But I thought that was just interesting that, the Eagles the Eagles players have actually been the ones that are definitely been a little more vocal, I think, about it. Definitely with the media for sure. So that'll be an interesting dynamic to see how that works out.
Yeah, definitely. let's go ahead and wrap up hour one right there. For those of you listening on the pod, we will see you on the other side for hour two. Go ahead and continue there, Jake.